Aurora Sterling leapt from the second floor. The sound of tearing fabric ripped through the dusk. As her body cleared the windowsill, the silk of her evening gown snagged on a rusted iron hook. The force of her fall was violently arrested, turning into a torturous suspension of ripping and hanging. Aurora felt her heart hammering against her throat. Below her, the meticulously trimmed rose bushes now looked like rows of sharp, waiting teeth. The hook scraped against her skin. The fabric tore inch by agonizing inch. Vincent Miller was right behind her. To stop now meant the end. Her left hand scrabbled, finding purchase on an outward jutting brick beneath the window ledge. She twisted her body in midair, her right hand grabbing the hooked portion of her skirt and pulled sideways. A long, ripping tear, a large swath of silk, along with its lace lining, tore free, left dangling on the hook. She was weightless, plummeting toward the rose bushes. Landing was a series of shattering impacts. Her right foot sank into the soft earth, her ankle buckling inward with a jolt of numbing pain that shot up her calf. Her left shoulder slammed into a cluster of hard, thorny roses, snapping stems, petals and dirt spraying across her cheek. Her back crashed onto something cold and metallic, which tilted with a sickening crunch. Pain exploded behind her eyes, and a choked groan escaped her throat. She lay in the dirt, gasping for air. Rose thorns dug into her shoulder blade. The metallic scent of soil mixed with the coppery tang of blood filled her nostrils. Upstairs, the window slammed shut with a bang. Vincent's face vanished behind the glass. She was alive. Aurora pushed herself up on her elbows, a sharp protest shot from her left ankle. She looked down. It was already swelling, the skin turning an angry red. Gritting her teeth, she used her right foot to push off the ground, her hands parting the thorny branches as she dragged herself away from the object she'd collided with. It was a dome-shaped security camera, originally aimed at the villa's back door. Now its lens was tilted skyward. Its red indicator light flickered a few times, then died. She kicked off her high heels, her bare feet landing on the cold stone of a garden path. Every step on her left foot felt like walking on blades. Leaning against the villa's icy exterior wall, she limped toward the back gate. The lengthening shadows of trees stretched across the ground like probing fingers. No matronly housekeeper, no security guard, only the ragged sound of her own breathing and the frantic beat of her heart. Just as her fingers were about to brush the cold iron of the gate, the distant roar of a car engine cut through the air, followed by Vincent's drawn-out sing-song call.
Aurora, Aurora, don't hide, sweetheart. Come home with me.
The voice slithered across the ground toward her. Aurora looked back. Vincent's black sedan was turning in from the main drive, its headlights sweeping across the shrubs. Run! She spun around, bare feet pounding over gravel and dead leaves, sprinting in the opposite direction of the main gate. The wind whipped at her torn skirt, exposing her mud-splattered calves, the stinging pain in her soles, the burning throb in her ankle, the fiery ache across her shoulder and back, all merged into one overwhelming agony. She couldn't look back. Her car keys were on the living room table. Her phone had long since died. She was utterly alone. At a fork in the path ahead, a matte black Bugatti Veyron was parked by the curb. Its sleek lines gleamed with a cold, metallic sheen in the fading light. Aurora charged toward it. Her lungs were on fire, her throat parched. She threw herself against the driver's side window, palms slapping against the glass with frantic thumps. "Sir, please, help me, call the police! There's a man back there, he's trying to assault me." Her voice was a raw, hoarse croak. She slumped forward, pressing her forehead against the cool glass, panting. Sweat and grime traced a path down her temple. The window began to descend. The low hum of the motor was starkly audible in the quiet dusk. Inch by inch, the glass lowered, revealing the hand on the steering wheel, long, elegant fingers. A platinum watch face on the wrist catching the last of the daylight. Next, a clean, sharp jawline, thin lips pressed in a slight line, a straight, aristocratic nose. The entire face came into view, filling Aurora's rapidly contracting pupils. Handsome, with a touch of androgynous beauty, his eyes were deep, dark pools, reflecting the image of a woman smeared with mud, hair in wild disarray, dress in tatters. In the distance, Vincent's calls grew closer. Those thin lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. Cool, clear voice, laced with a thread of mocking amusement, drifted into her ears.
"Oh?"
He paused, his gaze traveling from her mud-caked feet, up to her panic-stricken face, finally settling on her slightly parted lips.
"So, Miss Aurora Sterling isn't mute after all?"
The electric hum of the rising window glass, like the buzz of an insect's wings, cut off Vincent Miller's face from view. Lucian Thorne's finger left the control button and drifted to the steering wheel, his knuckles tapping the leather once, a pause, then twice. The car's cabin transformed into a sealed interrogation room. Aurora Sterling's breath caught in her throat. She huddled against the edge of the passenger seat, her back pressed flush against the door, the sharp pain in her left ankle overridden by heightened alertness. The remnants of the drug's effect clung to her nerves like sticky seaweed left behind by a receding tide. Outside, Vincent's figure cast a distorted shadow under the streetlight. He paced around the vehicle, his thick palm pressed against the window, trying to peer inside. The dark window tint rendered his face a shifting, blurred smudge. Lucian's voice came from the driver's seat.
He doesn't seem ready to give up.
Aurora didn't respond. She pressed her cheek against the cool window. Her breath fogged the glass, only to vanish instantly. Through the haze, she saw Vincent pull out his phone. The screen's glow illuminated his leering face. He was making a call. To whom? Melinda Vance or Bianca Sterling? A chill ran down her spine. Instinctively, her hand flew to her pocket, fingertips finding only empty fabric. The photo of her mother had been lost in the chaos of her escape. She snatched her hand back, nails digging into her palm. Lucian glanced at her in the rearview mirror.
Does it hurt?
Aurora raised her gaze, meeting his in the mirror's reflection. The light fragmented his features. His eyes were mostly shadowed, leaving only a faint glimmer deep within his pupils. She shook her head. Lucian clarified, his gaze dropping to her curled-up left leg.
Your ankle. I heard the sound when you landed.
Aurora's breath hitched. Outside, Vincent ended the call. He made a crude gesture at the window, then turned and strode back toward the villa. His footsteps faded into the night. The pressure inside the car did not lift. Lucian started the engine, and the car slid smoothly forward. The dashboard's cold light illuminated his hands resting on the steering wheel, his long fingers tapping unconsciously 3 quick taps, one slow, a pause, then 2 more quick ones. Aurora stared at that hand. Her mind felt like waterlogged cotton. She forced herself to focus, counting the streetlights flashing by outside 1, 2, 3, the light sweeping across her face before disappearing. Lucian suddenly spoke. Aurora's body tensed instantly. The hospital, the smell of disinfectant.
The brake lines. Someone tampered with them.
Her voice was hoarse. Lucian's tapping stopped. The car merged onto the main road, the river of traffic light flowing past the windows. Aurora felt his gaze settle on her profile. I just don't like the smell of disinfectant.
What a coincidence. Neither do I.
Silence fell again, filled only by the low hum of the engine and the faint whisper of air from the vents. Aurora felt the drug's effects surging again, a wave of heat crawling up her spine to the nape of her neck. She bit her lower lip. The car stopped at a red light.
Vincent Miller, Melinda Vance's nephew, former head of security at Grandeur Plaza. Fired last month for alleged jewelry theft. The police found no evidence.
Aurora whipped her head to look at him.
He was on the phone outside the car. I noted the license plate. A black Volkswagen, capital city plates, ending in 347. Would you like me to find out who he met tonight?
Why are you helping me?
I didn't say I was helping you. I'm merely satisfying my own curiosity.
The light turned green. The car accelerated, the force pressing Aurora back against the seat. She grabbed the door handle, her knuckles turning white.
Your secret playing deaf and mute. You do it well. Bianca lived with you all these years and never noticed.
Aurora's heart felt squeezed. She forced herself to release the handle.
Why are you talking to me now?
Because you know.
So, you're asking me to keep your secret?
Aurora felt heat rising in her cheeks. She suppressed it. Then he laughed, a low, resonant chuckle from deep in his chest. Aurora froze. The car turned onto a quiet side road, the branches of plane trees arching overhead to form a tunnel. Lucian slowed the car, finally pulling over under a massive plane tree. He cut the engine but didn't turn on the interior light. Darkness flooded in. Aurora could hear her own quickened heartbeat.
I don't need money, and I don't lack for women. Bianca is beautiful, you know. That saccharine beauty of hers, like poison coated in sugar.
He paused. Aurora heard the soft creak of leather he had turned in his seat.
When you jumped from that window, the entire time, you didn't make a single sound. A truly deaf and mute person would make some sound instinctively under extreme pain and fear. You didn't.
He leaned forward. Aurora could smell the faint scent of cedar on him, mixed with leather and a hint of crisp tobacco. Aurora's nails were close to piercing her skin. She stared wide-eyed into the darkness.
Of course it's my business. After all, you're sitting in my car right now, and I know a secret one that could ruin all your plans within the Sterling family.
Aurora's blood ran cold. She lunged for the door handle. It was locked.
Don't be so hasty. I'm not planning to expose you. At least, not now.
He straightened up and pressed the central lock. The sharp click of the doors unlocking sounded jarring in the silence. The car pulled out from under the tree's shadow, streetlight flooding the cabin once more. Aurora saw Lucian's profile. Aurora clenched her fists, feeling the drug's lingering heat and the throbbing pain in her ankle weave into a tight, inescapable net. The cold glow from her phone screen carved out Aurora Sterling's profile in the darkness. She lay in the hospital bed, an IV line connected to her left hand, her right thumb refreshing the equity information page. With each pull-down, the loading icon spun at the top. The door to the room opened a crack, slicing a diagonal beam of corridor light into the space. Genevieve Wells entered, carrying a paper takeout bag, her footsteps deliberately soft. She saw Aurora staring at her phone, swallowed her greeting, and the plastic bag rustled softly.
Eat something. You haven't eaten anything since last night.
Aurora's gaze didn't leave the screen. A new notification popped up. Grandeur Plaza Equity Structure Change Announcement. She tapped it. In the table, the Sterling Group's shareholding percentage had dropped from 42% to 38%, while Stellar Sea's offshore trust had risen by 4 percentage points. Her thumb froze midair, her knuckles turning white.
What is it?
Genevieve leaned in to look at the screen. Her breath hitched.
He transferred again?
The 4th time. This month. An offshore trust. The money trail is hard to follow. Aunt Martha said he used similar channels to move Mom's assets back then, too. Genevieve pulled up a chair, its plastic legs scraping against the floor.
He's moving whatever he can before Bianca's wedding. That will you have, even if you can prove Grandeur Plaza was your mother's, the core assets are probably long gone.
Aurora set her phone down, rubbing her temples. Genevieve. The day my mother died, her brake lines were cut. Genevieve's mouth fell open. She saw Aurora's pupils contract in the dim light. Aunt Martha told me before she passed. She investigated for 10 years. The cut on the brake line was clean. Made by professional tools.
Does Edward know?
Him? He cried the hardest at the funeral. Married Melinda 3 months later. I'm taking back everything that was my mother's. Every last inch. And until I do, I can't fall. Aurora pulled open the door and hopped on one foot into the dim light of the hallway. Aurora Sterling's fingertip hovered over the screen for a moment before pressing send. The screen lit up with a cold white light, illuminating a corner of the living room where heavy velvet curtains hung, and also casting its glow on Melinda Vance's well-preserved face, which had abruptly drained of color. She raised the phone level with her line of sight, turning her wrist slightly to ensure the bolded black text. "Guess if I've called the police?" Reached only Melinda's eyes. Edward Sterling stood with his back to them at the liquor cabinet, selecting a cigar. Bianca Sterling sat on the distant sofa, head bowed as she fiddled with her newly done crystal nails. Melinda's lips, painted a rose red, parted slightly before pressing tightly together. The fingers resting on her knees curled inward, nails digging into her palms. Her pupils contracted, the whites of her eyes flecked with red veins. 2 seconds later, the corners of her mouth stretched into a smile again, but her gaze was like a needle dipped in poison, stabbing toward Aurora. Aurora met her stare and raised her left eyebrow faintly. She withdrew the phone, and as the screen went dark, the crystal chandelier flickered once. In that shift of light and shadow, the last trace of feigned composure on Melinda's face cracked. Aurora turned. Her high heels clicked crisply against the marble floor tap, tap. She walked toward the foyer, spine straight, the hem of her dress torn and hastily mended, swaying with each step, revealing a faint, lingering bruise on her ankle. The antique mirror in the foyer reflected the scene. Edward, having chosen his cigar, turned around with his usual impatience. Bianca looked up, a smile fixed on her face, but her eyes were already locked on Aurora's retreating figure. There was no warmth in that gaze, only a cold assessment. Just as Aurora's hand was about to touch the brass door handle, the heavy solid wood door was pushed open from the outside. Night wind, carrying the chill of early autumn, swept in, bringing 2 figures with it. Lucian Thorne stood in the doorway, dressed in a deep gray suit. He shifted slightly to the side, revealing Elliot Campbell half a step behind him. Elliot wore a light-colored casual jacket, his hair tousled by the wind, his eyes full of surprise. 4 people, 8 gazes, collided in the narrow foyer. Aurora's outstretched hand froze midair. Her eyes found Lucian's first. They reflected the light of the wall sconces and her own petrified expression. The playful probing in the car last night, the blurred figure outside the hospital corridor, Those whispered words all came crashing back in this moment. Her heart clenched as if seized by an invisible hand. Lucian's gaze lingered on her face for a heartbeat before sliding past her. Edward, Melinda, and Bianca approached at the sound. A gentle, distant smile reappeared on Lucian's face. He began, his voice smooth and polite.
Mr. Sterling, Mrs. Vance, apologies for the intrusion. Elliot mentioned he was in the neighborhood and wanted to see Bianca.
Elliot's attention was riveted on Aurora, from her pale face, to the line of her neck, to the dress that couldn't quite hide its signs of distress. His eyes flickered with astonishment, quickly replaced by confusion and concern. He blurted out,
Aurora, what are you doing here? Is this your home?
Bianca floated to Lucian's side, linking her arm through his and smiling up at him.
Lucian, Elliot, what brings you here?
Her gaze swept over Aurora, pausing meaningfully on the less than a meter distance between Aurora and Lucian. Edward frowned at the unexpected guests, then at his eldest daughter blocking the entrance.
What's the meaning of blocking the doorway? Step aside.
Melinda stepped forward gracefully, her hands moving in sign language, her face wearing just the right amount of maternal worry.
Aurora, dear, going out so late? Whatever it is, can't it wait until tomorrow?
Her hands conveyed a caring mother's plea, but her eyes were on Edward. Aurora lowered her lashes, avoiding Lucian's gaze and Elliot's stare. She took a small step to the side. In that moment of movement, a sharp pain shot through the sprain in her left ankle. Her body swayed, her high heels scraping briefly against the floor, and she pitched forward. Aurora's vision spun, the floor rushing up to meet her. She flung out a hand, grasping at nothing. The sensation of falling, of weightlessness, seized her. Two hands reached out from different directions. One, with long, slender fingers and distinct knuckles, felt cool as it steadied her left elbow. Lucian! His movement was so fast it was almost a blur, his expression unreadable. The other hand was stronger, radiating the warmth of a young man as it grasped her right forearm and pulled her back. Elliot. His face was etched with tension, brows furrowed, his other hand hovering behind her waist. Aurora was caught, supported on either side, frozen in an awkward pose. She leaned slightly, each arm held by a different man. Lucian's fingers pressed through her sleeve with restrained presence. The heat from Elliot's palm seared through her skin. The mirror captured the instant. In its reflection, Edward's impatience turned to stunned confusion. Melinda's gracious expression stiffened, her hands frozen mid-sign, her gaze sharp as a blade. The first crack appeared in Bianca's sweet smile. Fingers, linked through Lucian's arm, tightened, nails digging into the fabric of his suit. Her necklace swayed faintly with her held breath. A split second before Bianca's gaze could fully land on her, Aurora looked up. Her eyes traveled past Elliot and met Lucian's, his gaze now impossibly close. In those eyes, she caught a fleeting, almost amused scrutiny. A mix of pain, humiliation, and a nameless fury at being seen through surged within her. At the critical moment, Bianca's attention arrived. Aurora directed at Lucian a brief, almost imperceptible lift at the corner of her lips. It was not a smile of gratitude or weakness. It was a transient, icy curve laced with vengeful mockery. Aurora lowered her lashes again, used their support to steady herself, and swiftly withdrew her arms. From the corner of her eye, she saw Bianca's expression darken abruptly in the mirror. The air in the foyer congealed, leaving only the faint hum of the wall sconces and the uneven rhythm of several people breathing. Aurora buried her face in the throw pillow, her shoulders trembling slightly. Genevieve reached out to comfort her, her fingertips hovering in midair before silently withdrawing. The dim light of the floor lamp cast Aurora's slender silhouette against the wall, stretching it into a thin, long, and lonely dark streak. Her phone screen lit up abruptly from the shadows of the sofa, its buzzing vibration muffled yet urgent against the leather surface. Aurora's fingers twitched, but she didn't look up. Genevieve glanced at the glowing screen on the coffee table where two characters pulsed. Father. Her throat tightened instantly. The vibration stopped. After a few seconds of dead silence, it rang again, stubbornly. Aurora finally lifted her head. The corners of her eyes were red, but her skin bore no tear tracks. She picked up the phone, her unlocking movements precise to the point of numbness. The cold white light of the screen illuminated half her face, highlighting her suddenly constricted pupils and slightly trembling eyelashes. The text message was short, delivered in Edward Sterling's usual commanding tone, each word like a nail dipped in ice. Bianca is getting married next month, and her dowry is still short. Lend Bianca the antique jewelry your mother left and the 5% equity stake in Grandeur Plaza for now. Have the lawyer handle the paperwork tomorrow. Aurora stared at the lines of text. Her gaze slid slowly from the first character to the last, paused, then slid back, landing on Lend Bianca. Her breathing grew very light, her chest barely rising and falling. Genevieve saw the knuckles of Aurora's hand holding the phone turn white, skin taut, the blue-green veins beneath clearly visible. The metal edge of the phone dug deep into her soft palm.
Aurora?
Aurora didn't react. Her eyes were locked on the screen, the light within them shifting from blank numbness, rapidly freezing into a barren ice field. Yet deep within that ice, something dark and blue had been ignited, burning soundlessly. The phone slipped from her stiff fingers, landing on the sofa cushion with a dull thud, screen down. Genevieve bent to pick it up, quickly scanning the message. Her face instantly paled. Aurora stood up from the sofa. She walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, her back to Genevieve, gazing out at the heavy night. She turned around. Her face held no expression, only that dark flame dancing and expanding silently in the depths of her eyes. Genevieve was stunned for a moment, then nodded, anger rising in her eyes. Aurora didn't answer. She walked back to the sofa, picked up the phone, and swiped a few times on the screen, pulling up a photo and old picture of her mother, Eleanor Sinclair, in her youth. Aurora bowed her head, using the pad of her thumb to repeatedly gently trace the outline of her mother's face on the screen. Genevieve's throat tightened. She looked away, then back, her eyes rimmed red. Aurora repeated word by word. The corners of her mouth lifted in a cold, lifeless arc. She let go. Aurora began to pace the living room. The thin heels of her high heels clicked against the polished hardwood floor with a crisp, rhythmic tap that sounded especially sharp in the overly quiet room. She first circled the glass coffee table, then walked towards a blank wall, reaching out a finger to trace its cold, smooth surface. Her pace quickened, her strides lengthened, like a beast trapped by invisible chains in a confined space. She suddenly raised her right hand, slashing it fiercely through the air in front of her. She staggered back a step, her spine hitting the hard wall with a soft thud. She slid slowly down the cold wall surface, finally curling up on the rug. She drew her knees up, pressing her forehead against them. Her thick, long hair cascaded down, completely covering her face. After who knows how long, Aurora's shoulders stopped shaking. Slowly, bit by bit, she lifted her head. There were still no tears on her face, only red-rimmed eyes, the whites now laced with bloodshot threads. She leaned on the wall, slowly standing up. She walked to the small bar, picked up a glass, and poured herself a full glass of cold water. She set the empty glass down. The glass base met the marble countertop with a crisp clink. Within that deep blackness in her eyes, a clear, icy, and utterly chilling ruthlessness surfaced. The corners of Aurora's lips curled upward, forming an arc that was both icy, cold, and possessed a breathtaking, dangerous beauty. Starting tomorrow, Lucian Thorne is no longer a threat I need to avoid, or a variable I must constantly be wary of. He is the tool I must seize, and must control, to take back everything. Aurora stepped into the Sterling mansion. The living room was lit only by a single floor lamp, its yellowish glow cutting the marble floor into stark zones of light and shadow. In the illuminated area, Edward reclined on the sofa reading a newspaper, while Melinda sat beside him peeling an apple, a long, unbroken spiral of skin dangling. Bianca was absent. Piano music floated in the air. Her heels made no sound against the dark floor until her figure breached the edge of the light. Edward looked up, his brow furrowing. Melinda set down the paring knife, a practiced smile spreading across her face as her fingers began to sign. Aurora's gaze slid past Melinda's fingertips and landed on Edward's face. From her handbag, she drew out a stapled document, its paper edges crackling. With a flick of her wrist, she let it fly. It landed squarely on the newspaper, spread across Edward's lap, covering the finance section's headline. The piano note held for an extra half beat. Edward's eyes shifted from his daughter's face to the document's cover. Bold, black characters leaped out at him, agreement for equity liquidation and return of all historical dividends. The knuckles of his fingers gripping the newspaper turned white. Melinda's smile froze. She glanced at Edward, then back at Aurora, her signing speeding up. Aurora ignored her. She adjusted her stance, crossing her arms, lifting her chin, her eyes locked on Edward. Edward snatched up the contract, the pages rustling loudly. He flipped through them rapidly, his eyes scanning the clauses. His breathing grew ragged, his complexion shifting from pale to ashen, then finally to a mottled purple. Edward slammed the contract onto the glass coffee table. A porcelain teacup rattled, its lid clinking against the saucer. A few drops of tea splashed onto the surface. Melinda gasped, grabbing a tissue to dab at the spill, her hands trembling. She turned, one hand patting Edward's back soothingly, the other signing frantically at Aurora, her eyes full of reproach. The corner of Aurora's mouth twitched upward. She watched the veins bulging on the back of Edward's hand, took in Melinda's flustered performance. Edward shook off Melinda's hand, his chest heaving as he pointed a finger at Aurora. Aurora lowered her arms and took half a step forward, standing precisely on the borderline between light and shadow. She raised her hands, her fingers tracing sharp, clear shapes in the air. Melinda sucked in a sharp breath, covering her mouth. She looked at Edward, silently mouthing the translation, a flicker of something cold passing through her eyes. The rage on Edward's face solidified, morphing into pure disgust and icy contempt. A harsh cough racked his body, bending him forward. Melinda hurriedly offered him water, her voice choked with faux tears. Footsteps sounded on the stairs. Bianca appeared in a silk robe, a jeweled necklace glinting at her collarbone. Aurora's eyes swept over this perfect family. The last faint, foolish shred of hope she might have harbored turned to ash and blew away in that moment. She didn't look at any of them again. She simply turned and walked back toward the shadows she had come from. "Stop!" Edward roared hoarsely behind her. Bianca scurried over, kneeling beside Edward, her voice soft and soothing. Her eyes followed Aurora's retreating figure until it vanished into the gloom of the foyer. Edward shoved the contract off the table. The pages fanned out, fluttering down onto the marble floor. While her parents' attention was fixed on each other, Bianca subtly bent down. Her fingers quickly plucked two of the scattered pages. Crouching, she skimmed the text. Outside, Aurora stood in the mansion's front courtyard. The afternoon sun was fierce, casting her departing figure into a long, thin, solitary shadow that stretched across the wrought iron gate. She didn't look back. A breeze stirred her hair, carrying the scent of roses from the garden. She took a deep breath, exhaling the final vestiges of any weak, lingering sentiment. The black prow of the Bugatti loomed like a moving wall, stopping just inches from Aurora. Tires screeched against the pavement, the sound tearing through the dead afternoon silence. Aurora's breath caught in her throat, her fingers tightening around the chain of her shoulder bag. The window slid down, first revealing Lucian Thorne's left hand resting on the steering wheel, the knuckles gleaming a cold white in the sunlight. Then his jawline, and finally, those eyes. He signed 3 words.
What a coincidence.
Sunlight slanted into the car, casting long, slender shadows of his fingers onto the passenger seat. Aurora stared at those hands, fury churning in her chest. She swallowed her silent questions, her fingers curling and uncurling at her sides. Lucian's gaze swept over the window frame to her, his eyes holding a probing, amused curiosity.
Get in.
Aurora didn't move. Behind her was the closed, ornate iron gate of the Sterling mansion, the inside table still littered with the torn shreds of a contract. As she had turned to leave earlier, she had caught, from the corner of her eye, Bianca crouching to pick up the scattered papers. In front of her was Lucian Thorne. Behind her, a gate that could swing open at any moment. Lucian waited 3 seconds, then pushed the passenger door open. It swung to an angle just wide enough for her to slip inside a gesture full of control. Aurora took a deep breath, bent down, and slid into the car. The moment the door clicked shut, the world was cut in two.
That little performance earlier wasn't bad.
Aurora's spine stiffened. She turned to look at him, wariness flashing in her eyes.
Your father is moving everything your mother left behind into Bianca's name.
Each word was like an ice pick, plunging into Aurora's nerves.
I just think playing this revenge game alone must be too tiring for you.
What are you saying?
Be my lover. Aside from maintaining appearances with Bianca, the rest of your time belongs to me.
The chilled air in the car seemed to turn to ice. Aurora stared at Lucian, searching his face for any hint of a joke.
I can get Grandeur Plaza back for you. I can make your father cough up everything he swallowed. I can make Melinda and Bianca kneel and apologize before your mother's photograph.
Aurora took the folder. The paper was thick, the cover bearing the embossed gold logo of a law firm. She flipped open the first page, dense lines of text.
Don't read it now. You have 3 days.
Aurora stood behind the rusted iron gate, watching through a crack as the black car idled, a drop of dark ink bleeding into a palette of drab grays.
If you're going to walk this path, you might as well walk it with your head held high.
Get in.
The interior smelled of cedar and leather. Where are we going?
Scared?
Just curious.
Somewhere quiet. We need to talk. Out.
The air carried a scent of sandalwood and citrus.
Sit. That nervous?
No, the scent of cedar enveloped her. A wave of shame washed over Aurora Sterling. Rising on her toes, she pressed her lips to the skin of his neck.
What are you doing?
I thought, the agreement. Lucian looked away, rubbing his temple with his fingers.
Rora, I brought you here to actually talk. About that offshore trust your father is using to move assets. I found something.
Actual business? In a secluded villa? And her just now. Mortification drowned her.
It seems you have an overly enthusiastic interpretation of a secret lover's duties.
My apologies for the misunderstanding.
Where are you going? We still have business to discuss.
Mr. Thorne, we need to clarify the details of our arrangement, to prevent any further confusion.
Fine. Business first. Sit. Look at this.
Inside were copies of financial documents in English, accompanied by translated summaries. The speed and secrecy with which Edward was moving the assets far exceeded her worst estimates.
It's more complicated than you thought. A straightforward legal battle would take years. You need a more direct approach.
What approach?
Aurora, do you want Grandeur Plaza back just because it's your inheritance? Or is there something more?
Aurora's heart tightened. It's the only thing my mother left behind. I have to reclaim it.
All right. Then our agreement needs one more clause.
What clause?
While I help you get Grandeur Plaza back, you will fully cooperate with me. That includes, when necessary, playing the part of my lover convincingly for certain occasions and certain people.
Aurora understood. He needed a shield.
Misunderstandings like tonight won't happen again. I'll make it clear when a performance is required. Rest of the time, we're just partners. Understood?
Understood.
It's late. I'll drive you back.
Thank you. And about tonight, I'm sorry.
Aurora, next time. No need to look so ready for the gallows.
On the passenger seat, a faint trace of rose perfume lingered, soon scattered by the cool wind that swept inside. Aurora's fingertips brushed the last page inside the folder. The evening sun's rays filtered through the edges of the paper, staining the printed black clauses a rusty red. Her gaze swept over the first line of the addendum. During the term of this agreement, Party B must be available upon request and cannot refuse Party A's reasonable requests for meetings for any reason. Aurora's eyelashes cast fine shadows beneath her eyelids. Her breathing rhythm didn't change, but the pads of her fingers holding the paper turned slightly white. The second line jumped into view. Party B must reside at a secure residence designated by Party A to ensure personal safety and the confidentiality of the agreement. Secure residence. She thought of Lucian Thorne's private villa nestled halfway up the hillside, the floor-to-ceiling windows framing the entire nightscape of the capital. That wasn't a residence, it was a gilded cage. The paper made a faint rustling sound in her hands. Third line. Party B shall not develop relationships with any member of the opposite sex other than Party A that exceed the scope of normal social interaction, including but not limited to private meetings, physical contact, or ambiguous communication. The corner of Aurora's mouth twitched into an extremely faint, ironic curve. She continued reading. Fourth line. Party B must accompany Party A to necessary social events, performing the role of secret lover, with specific boundaries to be dictated by Party A on site. Performing. The word stabbed into her retinas. Fifth line. Termination conditions. After Party A fulfills its obligations to assist Party B with the inheritance matter, Party A shall unilaterally decide whether to extend or terminate the agreement. Party B has no right to unilaterally terminate. Unilaterally decide. Aurora's gaze froze on those 5 words. The evening light shifted across her face, sliding from her cheekbones to her jawline. There was another attached page in the folder. She pulled it out. It was a map of the capital, with 3 locations circled in red pen. The first was Lucian Thorne's hillside villa. The third was a newly built glass curtain wall skyscraper right next to the old building she currently lived in. Pick one, move tomorrow. Aurora's fingers tightened. The paper crumpled in her palm, then slowly smoothed out again. She held the map up to her eyes, looking at it against the sunset. The red circles looked like burning wounds in the light. In the distance, the roar of a car engine sounded. She looked up and saw Lucian Thorne's black Bugatti turning onto the street corner. Aurora stamped her foot hard. The stiletto heel struck the old, cracked concrete with a sharp crack. Lucian Thorne! Just you wait. The street corner stood empty. Nothing left but shards of broken sunset on the ground and streetlights gradually flickering on. Aurora remained in that pose, arm outstretched, fingers tense. Her fingertip trembled slightly. She looked down at the paper. Then she bent over and picked it up. Her thumb rubbed over the embossed gilt pattern on the cover, a rose entwined with thorns. On the third vibration, she pulled out her phone. The screen lit up, showing Genevieve's caller ID photo. Hello, Genevieve?
Aurora, guess who I just saw? Sean Neal. That creep actually tracked me down to the coffee shop under my office building.
He gave me an agreement. The terms are harsh. A cigarette butt, fresh, with an almost imperceptible wisp of smoke still rising. Someone had been standing here, just now. The price is my freedom. But Genevieve, I lost my freedom 10 years ago. Then she leaned back against the door and slowly slid down to sit on the floor. I'll take the glass tower building. Pick me up tomorrow morning at 10.